Welcome to Tiny Social's Teachable Moments podcast. My name's Stephen Jarnick. For anyone not familiar with Tiny Social, we provide resources to teachers in 13 countries who want to inspire their students to make the world a little better place by creating micro-social enterprises and donating the proceeds to charity. For more information, visit tinysocial.org. Today's podcast is titled Math Trauma. It's by Larry Ferlazzo for Education Week and was published in November 2024. Vanessa Vaccaria is called by many the Lady Gaga of math education. She is the founder and director of the Math Guru, a math and science tutoring studio in Toronto. She is also the host of the Math Therapy podcast and the author of the soon-to-be-released book, Math Therapy. She failed grade 11 math twice and considers that the best thing that ever happened to her. Here's Vanessa's story. One of my favorite breakthrough moments with a student actually happened quite recently. It was exam season, and as we well know, for those students who are already anxious about math, high-stakes testing tends to further trigger familiar responses to math trauma, such as flight, fight, freeze, or fawn. For this particular student, let's call her Julia, her go-to in math class for as long as she could remember had always been freeze. Julia had come in for a math therapy session with me 2 days before her math exam. I love these sessions because they allow us to go deep into the root causes of math trauma and really tackle the emotional component of learning. And as my favorite brain-based learning expert, Liesl McConchie, says, a student's emotional relationship with math is foundational to their cognitive relationship with math. I started by asking Julia how she was feeling about her math exam, and she immediately said one powerful word, scared. Then I asked an equally powerful question, why? I find that when students are anxious about math, it seems totally obvious that they should be scared every time they encounter math. But actually asking them why changes the dynamic because it allows them to really interrogate the anxious feelings that have become totally normal for them. I used a cognitive behavioral therapy strategy with her that I call Then What? And our conversation went something like this. Julia, scared. Vanessa, why? Julia, because I'm going to freak out and not be able to answer anything. Vanessa, then what? Julia, I'll fail. Vanessa, then what? Julia, well, I'll have to take the course again in summer school. Vanessa, then what? Julia, well, nothing, I guess. It'll just be annoying. Vanessa, then what? Julia, I don't know. I guess I'll eventually pass and not have to take math again? That's it. It seems simple and kind of anticlimactic, but we've gone from fear and panic to kind of annoying, which really de-escalates the whole situation and allows Julia to come back into her body and calm her nervous system, a technique that would be extremely useful for her to revisit during the exam in case she went back into catastrophizing. Finally, we reframed the exam so that instead of a high-stakes test I might fail, it turned into a great opportunity to practice the new skills I've learned this year. My favorite way to do this is to follow up the then what activity by saying something like, now that we know that the worst-case scenario isn't so bad, let's pick something we can focus on that has nothing to do with your fear and instead allows you to celebrate and even enjoy writing the exam. Julia agreed that she was actually proud of how hard she had been studying. We decided to focus on writing the exam with pride instead of fear and letting go of attachment to the outcome, so she could stay in the moment instead of in the anxious attachment of the worst-case scenario. 3 days later, I received a message from Julia that said, "Hey, I finished my exam. I have no idea how I did, but I felt really proud of myself for using the then what strategy twice when I started to panic. And whatever my mark ends up being, I'm really proud of how far I've come." This is everything for me. helping Julia truly see and value herself as a learner, separate from the temporary external validation that good grades can bring, is how we heal broken relationships with math. That's it for today. See you next time on Tiny Social's Teachable Moments.